Remember this trade? The second Jeff Petrie trade with the Montreal Canadiens, sending him over to the Red Wings for Gustav Lindstrom and a conditional 4th-round pick. Well, this trade didn't really do too much to the Montreal Canadiens. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Jeff Petrie and the Red Wings benefited more out of this transaction than the Habs ended up doing so, mostly because Gustav Lindstrom, I mean, say what you want about the guy, he was nothing more than a depth defenseman, a pretty solid one at that. Like, he's definitely not bad, but the 4th-round pick, Gustav Lindstrom, the Montreal Canadiens made this trade pretty much because they were doing Jeff Petrie a solid, sending him over to his family so he could play hockey in an area where he's more comfortable, and, you know, there was already kind of a logjam on the Canadiens' defense core anyway, so losing out on Petrie, getting Lindstrom in return, not the biggest deal in the world. However, that logjam has now minused itself out by 1, as Gustav Lindstrom has gotten claimed by the Anaheim Ducks, and this is a really interesting transaction because it occurs just a few days after the Ducks sent away Jamie Drysdale to the Philadelphia Flyers in that big bad Cutter Gauthier swap. Gustav Lindstrom, if you want to go over the profile here, 25 years old, 6'2", right-handed defenseman, signed till the end of this season, making $950,000. This year, he had 4 points in 14 Montreal Canadiens games played and 4 games played with the Laval Rocket. He's been an okay guy, even in Detroit. Gustav Lindstrom was just kind of there, 8 points, 36 games last year, 13 points, 63 games the previous year. And so, heading over to the Anaheim Ducks system, Gustav Lindstrom technically isn't even going over there to replace Jamie Drysdale. Oh no, he's going out there to replace Pavel Mintyukov, because Mintyukov actually got hurt the other day too. Let's go ahead and search for his name over here. There you go, Pavel Mintyukov. There was a bit of an injury scare with this player, and he has been fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic here from Mintyukov. 19 points, 40 games played, on pace for about 39 points in an 82-game season, and he's only a 20-year-old rookie. This is one of the top young prospects who has made himself out in the NHL, and there is so much hype for this guy as well as a lot of the other Ducks young defenders. We've been talking about this over the past little while, but the Ducks go over to their prospect system and see which defensemen exist. Is that over here? Depth chart, that's what it is, not the roster. Take a look at these names. You've got Mintyukov, who's dominating as a rookie. Lacombe is a young guy. You've got Tristan Luneau, who's born in 2004, but who's doing pretty well himself. Not to mention Olen Zellweger, who is on here somewhere. Yes, there he is. And Gustav Lindstrom now, rounding things out. While Lindstrom is not going to be that top point-producing defenseman like a Luneau or a Zellweger or a Mintyukov could be, he's a pretty stable 6th option. And for the Montreal Canadiens, it is totally okay for them to lose out on this player because, as we had talked about in the video a few days ago, we have ourselves such a logjam on Montreal and Laval's D-core that losing out on one of these guys for free isn't really the worst thing in the world. I mean, all the guys here are under contract, all the guys here pretty much are in the NHL. Okay, no, add on Jaden Struble there, and then all the guys over here are balancing it out. Okay, not Reinbacher. All the guys here are balancing it out in Laval with a bunch of extra names. We already saw Nick Beaudin in a position where he's demanding more ice time. He's demanding maybe just a little bit more. Whether or not that happens in Laval or somewhere else remains to be seen. But it does seem like the possibility for a trade is on the table with this individual prospect right here. It's just one of the examples of the Canadiens having so many guys on defense that you're kind of running into a few roadblocks here. Of course, that's not to say that losing out on Gustav Lindstrom is a good thing. It's just saying, hey, circumstantially, this isn't the worst thing in the world. And if you wanted to go back to that trade, I mean, the Habs still have a conditional 4th-round pick from that Jeff Petrie swap. So I don't know, it's a pretty minor thing, not really the biggest, most important deal in the world, but at the end of the day, the Canadiens got themselves a guy in Lindstrom. He was serviceable while he was here. He's now shipped off to Anaheim as a replacement for Michkov. He's probably going to get a little bit more minutes over there, just because there seems to be more availability in their lineup than the Canadiens have. But at the end of the day, I mean, this trade here, Petrie got himself a solid. Gustav Lindstrom seems to be exhibiting a solid right now too, because with more ice time comes more opportunity, and if he's actually able to put it all together and find himself a solidified role somewhere maybe in the top 4, let's say, then good for him, right? Good for Gustav Lindstrom. But for now, this really is just a minor acquisition. Good for Anaheim giving this guy an opportunity. Good for Lindstrom for just kind of being a gamer this entire time, because being able to show off NHL value to the point that you do get claimed after getting sent down on waivers, that's pretty good. So for Gustav Lindstrom, let me know your thoughts in the comments about the Montreal Canadiens losing him to the Anaheim Ducks. What are your thoughts on how he played for the Habs, and what are your thoughts on how he's going to exhibit success in Anaheim? Do you think that's actually possible? Do you think he's going to find himself a role? Let's actually go out there and look at the depth chart for the Ducks, try to map things out as to where things are in their NHL system. So you've got these names over here. They seem to be the main NHL cast, and if you have Michkov, who is out, then that's a decor of Fowler, Gudas, Vakanainen, Labushkin, Lacombe, and then you got Gustav Lindstrom. Not to mention some of the other guys who have cycled around there. Tristan Luneau, I think, is in the AHL. So let's go out there and confirm that. Okay, no, he's in the Anaheim Ducks system. Has played a little bit here and there. Okay, so you could rotate around guys in that final defensive spot, I feel, if you have a sustained injury for Pavel Mintyukov that extends for a little bit further than just a few days. So there definitely will be some sort of a competition, I feel, for these guys to get that last spot, but there are some good options. I mean, Luneau, as we had talked about, 83 points in 65 games played in Gatineau last year. Such a good offensive point producer, but of course, being a top QMJHL defenseman in terms of points definitely doesn't translate to the NHL right away in year 1. It takes a little bit of time. So there are a bunch of names here that you could say could cycle around. I'm really big on Jackson Lacombe. He's been a great player. Labushkin may get traded soon. Who really knows? So maybe that's another spot open for a guy like Lindstrom to come in here and swoop in. Gudas, Fowler, these guys, veterans, they've always been there. Pavel Mintyukov, as we had said, one of the top rookies in the NHL this year. So there definitely is an interesting conversation to be had about defensemen in Anaheim, and Gustav Lindstrom going over to help things out will definitely be good for him. Good opportunities all around. So if you're a fan of the Montreal Canadiens, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about Gustav Lindstrom and the way he had played. If you're a fan of the Ducks, what are your thoughts on this acquisition for your squad? Do you like it? Do you not? Do you think this is not that big of a deal? I think it's kind of, middle of the pack kind of territory. It's good for the player, good for the Anaheim Ducks. Montreal doesn't really lose out on too much here, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section either way. I hope you enjoyed this Vrishaj 99. And bye.